welcome back. You're watching Movies, Money and More. Purists may not like it, but there's nothing like special effects to make movies really larger than life. Hollywood has mastered it and Bollywood is learning its lessons fast. My colleague Baljeet Chadda visited Prime Focus to find out what really goes behind these special effects and what can they really create.
Little did you know that this enormous grand house that appears throughout Sanjay Leela Bhansali's magnum opus Guzarish was in fact a CGI, computer-generated imagery. This was actually a church in Goa that was digitally recreated for the film. The much talked about opening shot, in which Hrithik Roshan is sitting on a wheelchair and trying to flick a fly off his nose, was also nothing but a digitally created composition. And not just that, even the sequences where Shehnaz Patel is standing by the porch and the one when Aishwarya is travelling back home in a skyboat was in fact digitally recreated. Well, this is the new reality, a digital reality, and top-notch filmmakers in India are embracing this new reality, says Merzin Tavaria, Chief Creative Director, India and co-founder, Prime Focus.
Guzarish, the film Case Being in Point, is a very fascinating one because a lot of magic happened on screen and a lot of magic happened on the editing table and in your studio. Any specific challenging role or any specific manipulation you thought was very difficult to execute?
I think it comes back to the house that was like, I can't say that I was totally confident right at the beginning, but as we were progressing, the confidence grew, and even the director's confidence grew, which is the reason why the number of shots of the house increased. Because there are times when, the trickiest thing is when, you have almost 75% of the screen being taken up by a CG element in that, and that's like a big challenge. And that was the biggest thing.
And it's not just Sanjay Leela Bhansali or the Guzarish team that has used visual effects. One look at the flawless visual effects in SRK's dream project, Bra 1, and you wouldn't hesitate to compare it to those in Hollywood sci-fi projects. Not many know that the film was actually shot in 2D and only later converted into 3D format at the post-production level. There were close to 3,500 VFX or visual effects shots in Bra 1.
We were called in for some key sequences because of our ability to work in a global way. So in fact, the sequence came in so late that we had to utilize the teams in Vancouver and India. So we had a blend of both the teams working very seamlessly together, and we did the dream sequence where Shah Rukh is riding the bike.
Take a look at Imtiaz Ali and Ranbir's Rockstar. Looking at it, one can imagine that no visual effects were used in this film. Well, think again. It's a known industry fact that there is a restriction to the number of people you can gather in a film shoot. So while a producer stretches his resources for such sequences, the Rockstar team chose to stretch their VFX budget instead. Imtiaz Ali and the Rockstar team did bring in a lot of people from various cities for the crowd sequences, but that wasn't enough. So what did they do? They stretched and multiplied the audience through visual effects at the post-production level.
In Rockstar, we had this interesting thing that the location that Imtiaz wanted was a place in Verona in Italy. And it's a huge amphitheater. It wasn't going to ever be viable to actually shoot at that place. And with today's technology, you don't really need to shoot in that place. So what we had done was we created a set in Hyderabad and a smaller set. And Imtiaz felt that he needed a larger scale and bigger volume of people and a larger auditorium, a larger amphitheater. So what we experimented with was actually opening up the place, and so what the challenge over there was to actually create part of the amphitheater in 3D, in CG, and add in more people.
The current market for the VFX industry in India currently stands at only 300 crore rupees. That's less than 3% of an industry that's worth approximately 11,000 crore rupees. For a Hollywood film like Avatar, the total cost of production was $450 million, and the post-production and VFX cost for making this movie was a whopping $350 million. That's roughly 80% of the budget that was spent on visual effects. So while the Indian market for VFX is still way behind, one look at investments in visual effects in films like Guzarish, Rockstar and Rawan, and there is reason to believe that things indeed are changing in Bollywood.
No wonder the biggest filmmakers are falling in love with this. Well, that's a wrap on Movies, Money and More. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do hope you enjoyed the show, and do join us again next week and stay in touch with us at the addresses mentioned below. Goodbye.